Hi, I'm Jeremy Kirk with Intel 471, and this is Happy Hunting, which is Intel 471's guide to threat hunting in your logging systems. With me today is Lee Arkinall, who's a senior threat hunt analyst. Welcome, Lee.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. How are you?
Good. We're going to do a threat hunt shortly here for a user account control bypass technique that is used by ransomware as a service groups, including Medusa, as well as others. First, I'm going to go over some background about Medusa and then turn it over to Lee for the threat hunt. So Medusa appeared in 2021 and gained notoriety in 2023 when it launched a data leak blog. The group uses its own Medusa ransomware, which has a extension of .medusa and encrypts files and also deploys a ransom note on victim hosts. It practices double extortion like many other ransomware gangs, where they first go in and steal the sensitive data, and then if a victim decides not to pay for the decryption key, they threaten to release the data publicly on its blog. The program is led by a threat actor who goes by the moniker MDS or Boss, and this person assigns strict roles to every member of the group. Medusa often partners with affiliates who are initial access brokers, and affiliates who want to join Medusa have to pay an upfront fee. According to the U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency, these IAB affiliates can receive payments of up to $1 million to just work exclusively for Medusa. The group mainly focuses on compromising Windows-based hosts, but also uses strings to target VMware ESXi hypervisors and Linux-based hosts. It often gains access to networks via phishing campaigns that steal victim credentials, and it also exploits vulnerabilities in unpatched software, such as remote monitoring and management solutions and network edge devices. So since the beginning of this year, 2025, we've recorded 78 entities that have been purportedly infected by Medusa or its affiliates. This puts the group as the 8th most active ransomware group in between Fog and Kill Security. Medusa mostly targets small to medium-sized entities with revenues ranging from $5 million to $50 million. CISA estimates that Medusa has likely impacted more than 300 organizations as of February 2025. Now I'll turn it over to Lee for our feature threat hunt.
Thank you, Jeremy, for all that wonderful information about the Medusa ransomware. But now let's talk about how we can detect or hunt for it. So the real question is, for quick wins, do we chase the hashes first or the file names first? Either way, we're fighting an uphill battle, specifically when it comes to those two aspects changing in such a short time. And we don't want to go after the files being created whenever they are, or whenever the files are getting encrypted, because at that point it's too late. So if we have extremely timely intel, we could be in a better position when we're conducting IOC scans. But if we don't, and if we're working on open source intelligence or OSINT, we may be months behind. So feel free to grab your IOCs from your favorite source and conduct a 30, 60, 90-day scan, or we can do what we like to do and hunt for behaviors. So if nothing shows up in your IOC scans, does that mean that we're actually not compromised and that we're safe? Absolutely not. I may have said this before, but I'm not trying to scare anyone or take the assumed compromise position, but don't take the zero results and say, yeah, we're safe, nothing happened to us. And really what I mean is take a proactive approach and get hunting. So the hunt package we're going to use is titled UAC Bypass Attempt via Elevated COM Abuse. But before we hunt for it, let's get a little understanding of what UAC is. So UAC, or User Account Control, enables programs to run at a higher integrity level, following approval of the user, which provides them with a high level of privileges, such as those as a local admin. Now, this may have popped up time and time again. You may have seen it when it says, do you want to run this as an admin? Adversaries and malware have been known to utilize various methods to bypass user account control, or UAC, to escalate privileges, maintain persistence, or move laterally across systems. Now, UAC bypass poses a threat to Windows machines because Microsoft does not officially recognize the UAC as a security boundary. Many researchers have provided resources and reports and exploits abusing the UAC capability to Microsoft about their findings and have received the same response, that this is not a security boundary. This does not mean that Microsoft is ignoring the exploits, but they may not treat them the same as exploits found in their bug bounty program. So knowing that, let's take a look at the hunt package and see a bunch of COM objects that are designed to start at a higher integrity level and can be manipulated to open another process at the same higher level. And we are looking for those values in the command line arguments. Now that we know what the threat is and what values we're looking for, let's get hunting. So here we are in the UAC Bypass Attempt via Elevated Common Views Hunt package. As we scroll down, we can see the queries that are available to us. We can see the tools that we run in, the description of what this hunt package covers. But let's look at the query logic, and this is what we're really concerned about. We can see that we're looking for the process path containing DLL host.exe and a bunch of these process IDs attached to some GUIDs. Now, a GUID is a 128-bit number used to uniquely identify something like a file, a software component, or a COM object. And these COM objects are the things that adversaries are going to target and abuse. Now, a COM object is a technology in Windows that allows software components to communicate. You can think of a COM object like a reusable mini program that applications can call to do things. For example, opening a file, talking to the registry, or managing settings. So adversaries will target these ones specifically to elevate their privileges to run as a higher level, like an admin. So what does that look like when we are actually threat hunting and using a tool? Well, here we are in CrowdStrike, which is a EDR or endpoint detection and response tool. It basically stares at your machine, captures a bunch of activity, logs it, and makes it searchable for you as a threat hunter, security operations center analyst, or whatever your role is. But here we can see the query logic translated to the language that CrowdStrike uses. So we have our event type that we're looking for, which is the process rollup or the synthetic process rollup. We have the image file name, which we're looking for dlhost.exe, and we're looking for those GUIDs in the command line argument field. Now, what does the data look like? If this does occur in your environment, you may see something like this. We see the computer name, how many times it's happened, when it was first seen, username. We got some execution summary, so a nice little process tree that you can take a look at. But what we're really concerned about is the command line arguments. Confirming that these values exist in the query, we can tell who the parent process was, the parent process ID, and the image file name or the child process that was targeted. Now, this doesn't mean that it's absolutely malicious. It's definitely suspicious at this point, especially if you can't track it to SVC host or figure out what was going on, or is this business as usual. But right now, the idea is we've at least identified some suspicious or malicious behavior, and that's using these COM objects to possibly bypass the UAC protections. Now, from here, you would definitely want to see what other activity exists surrounding this, so that you can see if, in fact, they did gain privilege escalation, or if there was processes that were spawned after this activity.
Lee, I've got a question for you. Looking at the query logic there, why are those specific process IDs being targeted by that query?
So that's a great question. We've selected these COM objects and these GUIDs because these are the ones that were designed by Windows to run at a higher level or admin level. So they're targeting these because they can, once used, open a process or do something or create an action at a higher level process or level privilege.
Thanks.
Not a problem. So another thing to add is that if you use this hunt package in your environment, you may find artifacts of other ransomware and not just Medusa existing in your environment. Researchers have found that LockBit, LockBit 3.0, Dark Matter, and other malware use this behavior in the past for privilege escalation. So you're not just hunting for Medusa ransomware, you're looking for any malware, and it seems like there's a lot of them out there that use this behavior and this technique to elevate their privileges. So realistically, you aren't just looking for Medusa, but a behavior that is abused by many different threats. So that's a wrap for this happy hunting episode. Today we walked through a real-world threat hunting scenario focused on UAC bypass techniques linked to the Medusa and other ransomware groups. These behaviors continue to be used across multiple strains, which makes tracking them an important part of any threat hunting strategy. So if you haven't already, sign up for your free account on the Hunter Community Portal to access the hunt package we use today and apply it in your environment. Stay tuned for more insights in the next episode. Until then, stay safe and happy hunting.